All right, so we're going to continue speaking about the aid situation with Sean Carroll now, who joins us live from Washington. He's the president and CEO of the NGO American Near East Refugee. Sean, welcome to the program. And of course, it is the first day of Ramadan, normally a festive season. And yet here we are, the people of Gaza facing starvation, malnutrition, aid flows. I don't know what word to use right now. Are they blocked? We're hearing about so many different tracks, attempts to get aid into Gaza right now. We've seen the airdrops, a Spanish boat that's in Larnaca right now, waiting to make its way to Gaza. The US talking about building a port that's 2 months away. Sum it up for us, the state of aid right now into Gaza today.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Ramadan Mubarak to all of your viewers. And we're all, of course, hoping for a peaceful, blessed Ramadan. And it doesn't feel like we're anywhere near that right now. The main thing that is needed for humanitarian aid is a ceasefire. That is the biggest impediment. And then beyond that, we just need to get massively increased amounts of aid in. And all routes and all methods are welcome. The biggest, most efficient, effective, scalable route is still the land route, and there are far too many trucks that are still stuck at the border. The crossings that are open need to increase the number of trucks coming in each day. New crossings need to be opened. The sea route is promising, but it takes time. The boat that you mentioned being provided by Open Arms and working with World Central Kitchen, who are partners of ours, have been working on this for a long time. It takes a long time. All of this takes more time than it should be taking. It shouldn't be this hard. It shouldn't take this long. As you mentioned, the seaport that President Biden promised is going to take 2 months to build. So those trucks are critical, and there has to be more, and there has to be a ceasefire, and there has to be no operation in Rafah, where now more than 3/4 of the population in Gaza are piled up in a tiny corner living in untenable, dangerous conditions.
Sean, let's just break this all down, because there is so much, so many tracks, so many attempts to get aid in. Let's talk about the port, the Spanish boat, Open Arms, that is in Larnaca right now in Greek-administered Cyprus. How realistic is that? How promising is that? You say you're partners with World Central Kitchen, Chef Jose Andres and Open Arms. Exactly what's the plan? We saw Ursula von der Leyen on Friday. They're giving the EU's blessing for this project. But realistically, when that aid, if it gets there, how will it be distributed? A concern from our correspondent is who will police that aid when it is delivered there?
Well, these are all excellent questions. I don't think that the community, the international community, is not doing enough. And I'll go back to the need for a ceasefire. And we had an UNRWA staff person killed on Friday in what appears to be a targeted attack on the shelter where he and his family were living. And so that puts a chill on all humanitarian aid workers, and we're very, very worried. So that's the main thing. You talk about the boat and the seaport. As I say, every method needs to be used. Very much welcome the news that there will be a boat with, I understand, 200 tons of foodstuffs coming in soon. I think some people may have gotten ahead of the timing on that. I don't believe that it's fully loaded and ready to go yet. But hopefully that will be coming soon, and hopefully it forebodes a lot more coming. And the focus has to be on humanitarian aid. I know that some leaders are talking about what this seaport means for the day after, for reconstruction, and we need to get to that, but we need to focus on the humanitarian situation right now. I'm worried that the world and the world's leaders are not sufficiently seen with the critical importance of trying to reverse now what is a very scary prognosis for the health and survivability of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians in Gaza.
Sean, sorry to interrupt you. What more do they have to see? You've got the UN statistics. You've got the pictures of children dying of malnutrition. What more does the world need to see that this really is an emergency? And sorry if I'm speaking out of turn, because it really is. I mean, we see these pictures every single day as journalists. You see them as a humanitarian worker. Are we not all looking at the same images here when you see a child dying, as we saw last week, of starvation?
No, you're absolutely right. It's astonishing. We are all asking ourselves the same question: what more needs to be seen? Where are the red lines? If there's no excuse for the world not understanding the situation right now, and beyond the bombings and the collapsed buildings, which you're showing right now, which is the most horrific of all of that. But even looking at those who are alive and who are in the relatively safer area of Rafah now, they're living in untenable conditions. And when I was there in December, I felt the difference from one day to the next. And now we're 75, 80 days past when I was there. So I can imagine that degree of increasing difficulty in living conditions increasing over that many number of days. It's just unfathomable how hard it is now, and how not just do we need to get more aid coming in, but we need to go up beyond what was the average number in order to make up the gap. So anybody who tries to say that there's enough aid there and that people are not starving are gaslighting the rest of the world. People are starving. We're seeing it. And it is going to increase at multiples of what we're seeing unless and until there is a complete reversal on the ease, the ability, and the scale to get more aid in. And I do worry, and others worry, that when we focus on some new route, which is needed, we can't let that take our focus off the long-standing best practice route of more trucks. Airdrops and sea routes are needed. Sea routes are definitely better in terms of the cost and the scale you can bring in than airdrops. And as we've seen, airdrops can be dangerous. But I fear that both of these can be distracting. And the humanitarians, including those who are working on this, they're very well intentioned, but it shows a failure to convince the Israeli authorities that inspections need to increase, the speed of them needs to increase, they need to be not so onerous, not so much rejected. And if there's a question of capacity on the ground, then give the international NGOs and the UN agencies that are in Gaza. ANIRA has staff, ANIRA has a network of people who are delivering every day. We are delivering. So it's also not helpful when people say nothing can get in, because then donors are reluctant to give. Donors should be giving to international NGOs like ANIRA and the UN, who are delivering. We're just not delivering enough because it's too hard to get the aid in, and it needs to be eased.
Sean Carroll, thank you so much for speaking to us today on the first day of Ramadan and on our program. Thank you.